Okay. Back after the Def Leppard was at the Houston Rodeo, um, after that was over and done with, that was in March of 2001. Um, this incident happened. Now, I had this photo of Joe and I that was taken at the hotel after the rodeo. And one day we lived in Kingwood, Texas, and we had a house, and there was this big office in the back of it that we used because we were self-employed. I used that for my work, and I had the photo with me one day, and I was out in the office by myself, sitting in the office chair, and I was just looking at this photo. And it was of me and Joe. And as I was looking at it, I had this thought, I was just daydreaming and I thought to myself, I wonder what it would be like to be with him. And I was just sitting there looking at it, and me and him, and the thought was wonder what it would be like. And all of a sudden, I heard this voice that says, visualize. And I thought for a minute, and it said, visualize. And intuitively, I said back, I might have tried, but I said back, I can't. And then the words were, I heard submit, submissive, things like that, words like that. And I was a bit confused at first, I didn't understand what was going on. But after the words submit and submissive, all of a sudden, we have chakras in our body. And from the top of my head, I felt the energy of Phil. He was first. It was his energy, followed by Anita, real fast, real quick. It swooped in from the top of my head. It was Phil and Anita, and it was a little bit of love energy from the top of my head. And then as soon as he swooped in, I'm sitting in the chair, and I felt this energy all of a sudden from out in front of me. I'm the only one in the office now. I'm by myself. And from the top of me, out in front of me, this energy out of nowhere, out of thin air, went to my heart. And it was this motion of back and forth, a give and a take, a push and a pull. Energy swirling around in my heart. It was going from my heart to out in the thin air to this certain point out of nowhere, up in front of me. And this push and pull energy kept going back and forth, swirling around from my heart to thin air. Now, during that process, I had asked, intuitively, who is this, And Joe told me it was him. He told me his name. Because I couldn't detect who it was at first. I could detect it was Phil coming in from my crown chakra. But when this heart and swirling back and forth energy motion was going back and forth, I didn't know who it was. Or what it was, but I didn't know who it was. But anyways, Joe told me his name. And it's going back and forth, until eventually Joe climaxed, right? And I felt him climax because I did. And I did as soon as he did. And then the energy stopped. And my first word was, whoa, I couldn't believe it. Wow, what just happened here? And then I peed myself. I ended up peeing on myself. And I gathered myself together after that. Wondering, my God, what had just happened here? And eventually, I went back into my house in my bedroom, and I got as far as my dresser, because I needed to change my clothes. I got as far as to my dresser when all of a sudden I felt this energy inside me, inside my body, swirling around. And the energy was me, it was Phil, and it was Joe. And it was swirling around inside my body. And I knew, I could tell the difference between the two. They were searching through every bit of who I was. It seemed like they were looking through my drawers. It was looking at everything, at all I was. It was the most bizarrest thing that ever in my entire life. And I stood there while this was going on, and it's hard to put into words because I could hear, I knew what they were doing, and I could hear Joe stood out most because he said to me, he was implying to the fact of like, accept me for who I am. The impression, it's hard to put into words, but the impression I got at the time was like, don't let money affect me in a bad way towards him. Or it was like something like accepting for who he is, and don't be so hung up on financial or money or something like to that effect, which I never knew I had a problem with. I never had a problem with money, so all of this went on for quite a few minutes. I was trying to fight them off, saying stop, because they were invading my privacy, like. And I can remember trying to fight it off and make it stop from happening. And anyways, that is what happened, after the rodeo, and me looking at that photo that was taken of me and Joe when I asked to put my hand on his heart. And so it was really bizarre. And anyways, that's what happened after the concert. Which then what happens next blew my freaking mind. I lost control of my mind. Not right away. It wasn't right away. But it was shortly thereafter I ended up losing control of my mind. And I was acting out like I had a mental illness, see? And that was my first time. I had to go to a mental hospital. It was terrible. It was really, really terrible. But anyways, that's what happened after the rodeo.